All right, hello. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Thank you for coming. Today we are live. We're live everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. Today, we got another episode of Deportation Defense Live. We're going to talk about what is a frivolous application for asylum. What does that mean? What does that cause if there's a frivolous finding in your case? And so welcome to everyone. Thank you so much for being here. It is the 20th of September of 2022. And so thank you for joining me. So here at the Deportation Defense Live, we are here to train, to teach, to inspire, and to empower immigrants who are facing deportation to make the most out of immigration laws, to make the most out of their lives, and to win their cases. All right? Are you facing removal in immigration court? Do you know someone who's facing removal in immigration court? If so, you know that it is not easy. All right? It's an uphill battle. The laws are against us. And here at Deportation Defense Live, we're here to maximize your chances of winning that case. All right? Today our theme is, what is a frivolous asylum case? What does that mean? What does that cause? All right? Thank you to everyone who asked your questions ahead of time. We didn't get that many questions. I think we just got one or two. And so if you have a question as we're watching, hey, please feel free to send it in. Okay? So as always, we'll do this in English first and then we'll do it in Spanish. So, si habla español, que venga con nosotros en unos 30 minutos y podemos hacerlo en español. All right? All right, so let's get into it. Before we start, I always want to start with an empowerment tip. All right? It's something that I enjoy doing. And so my tip for today is just to tell you, being a business owner, so I own my law firm. I started it from the ground up. Being a business owner is not for the faint of heart. Okay, it's not easy. Being an entrepreneur, it's challenging, it's difficult, it's frustrating, it's risky. And sometimes it's great. At other times it's very discouraging. Okay, I'm just telling you like it is, folks. I'm telling you like it is. And yet, I think about where my life would be right now if I hadn't gone for it. Where would my life be right now? Right? Like, I just want to share, like, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful, right, for having started this law firm. I started it when I was 28 years old. I was I was 1 year married. I had my first child on the way. I was just sworn in as a brand new attorney, and I started my own law firm. All right? Some would call that crazy risky. Right? Just like totally a gutsy move, right? And yes, it's not easy, and it hasn't been easy. And yes, it is risky, and yes, it can be stressful. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Sometimes you make good decisions, sometimes you make bad decisions. Sometimes things go as planned, and sometimes they don't. But you got to ask yourself, what would life be without it? Like, isn't that life? Like, some things go your way sometimes, and sometimes things don't go your way. What would life be like if you didn't take risks? What was the last risk you took in your life? What was the last challenge you undertook? What was the last opportunity that you went for? Because, like, the juice of life comes right there. It's right there. Going for it. Trying things. Trying to immigrate to a different country. Right? It's not for the faint of heart either, is it? trying new things, trying to build something for yourself and for your life, trying to build a new life. It's not easy, but keep at it. Keep going for it. Persist. All right? Learn from the mistakes as you make them. It's where life is. It makes life worth living. Hearing me out with that? Today, for the law, we'll pivot. We'll talk about the law. I hope my empowerment tips are useful for everybody. If they are, leave some kind of comment, right? Leave some kind of comment. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a heart if you're watching on Facebook. Give me a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. All right? Engage with me. If you're on Instagram, I see people waving at me on Instagram. Thank you for waving at me on Instagram. Everybody that's watching, if you have questions, send in your questions. All right? Today our topic is frivolous asylum applications. What they are, what they mean. All right? What they are, what they mean, what they cause. And so we'll get into that. And I'm really grateful to each of you for being here with me today. So let me talk about the basics. As always, I want to start with the basics. You know, the law says that an applicant who knowingly files a frivolous asylum application shall be permanently ineligible for any benefits under the Immigration Nationality Act if notice of the consequences of filing a frivolous application was given. Okay, I'll say that again. An applicant who knowingly files a frivolous asylum application shall be permanently ineligible for any benefit under the Immigration Nationality Act if notice of the consequences of filing a frivolous application was given. All right? Think about that. The form, so I'll break that down a little bit. One, this applies if you knowingly file a frivolous asylum application. All right? Two, the application has to actually be frivolous, which we'll talk about. And three, it only applies if there were notice that filing a frivolous asylum application would screw you over from ever getting any type of immigration benefit ever. If that notice was given to you, only then can it actually bar you from any future benefit. Does that make sense? So there's those three issues. It's got to be knowing, all right? It's got to be frivolous, and there had to be notice. So first of all, I'll start with the last requirement, which is kind of the, sometimes you're like, well, I was never notified. The case law says that the I-589 itself, the asylum application itself, notifies the applicant, adequately has the notification language on the form. So when you sign the form, that does put you on notice, all right? So that's that notice element. The frivolous element, okay, so what does it mean for an application for asylum to be frivolous? It's frivolous if, quote unquote, any of its material elements are deliberately fabricated. Okay? So you don't want to deliberately fabricate, make up, lie on an asylum application. All right? You don't want to do it. It's really, really bad. The consequences are enormous for doing it, so don't do it. All right? And, typically, the judge and the BIA, the Board of Immigration Appeals, they have the discretion to enter a frivolous finding or not. So there is a, hey, Your Honor, please don't enter a frivolous finding, and here's all the good things I'm doing in my life, and please forgive me for that. You're right, there is some discretion that you can do in this type of a case. Okay? So, and then knowingly is kind of the last element I'll touch on. Look, if if some fraudulent person says, hey, just sign here, I'll get you a work permit, and then they do the request and you don't even know what you're signing, if it's not knowing, it's not frivolous. All right? If you're not, you know, if you're the victim of fraud, in other words, then you have a strong argument that that was not a knowing decision on your end. And so what's the bottom line, everybody? What's the bottom line? All right? The bottom line is, if you are filing for asylum, don't deliberately fabricate, don't lie, don't be dishonest in your asylum application, because the consequences of being dishonest and lying and fabricating something in an asylum case are enormous. They are enormous. Like, even if you marry a U.S. citizen, even if you have children, you know, even if you've been in the U.S. for 50 years and you're trying to get a benefit, but there was a frivolous asylum application, you're barred. All right? Like, it's not, even if you go back to your country and try to apply after 20 years in the future because your children have grown up and they're all U.S. citizens, like, you're going to be barred. So don't, like, it's an incredibly serious issue, and you don't want to have this issue come up in your case. Like, it's better to file a weak asylum case, but to be honest about it, than to be dishonest, because the consequences of dishonesty in the asylum system are enormous. Okay? That's really the point that I wanted to get to today. Thank you for, like, hearing me out about that. Again, I'll say it one last time. It's so much better to file a weak asylum case that, you know, maybe you win, maybe you lose, maybe it's not the best arguments in the world, but at least you're being honest. Okay? Versus to file an asylum application where there's dishonesty in it. You know, sometimes immigrants, I hear this all the time, right? Sometimes immigrants, they'll come into the U.S., they'll talk to somebody, and somebody will say, oh, just make up a story to request asylum, and then you'll get your asylum status, you'll get a green card, everything will work out well for you. Bad idea, everybody. I'm here to tell you, bad idea. Listen to that person and run away from them. All right? They are not saying things that are in your best interest. They're giving you bad advice. Do not listen to that. That is nonsense. The consequences of doing that are enormous. All right? And so that's what I wanted to tell you today. All right, cool. So that's my legal theme for today. Let me get into your questions. And I don't have that many questions, so if you have one that you want to ask, hey, I'll answer it. I'll answer it right here on the spot. I am got a little technical difficulties. My mouse, I think I need to update, put in new batteries. Okay, here we go. So, all right, Santiago, you've asked me a question. Thank you. So Santiago asks, I posted a $10,000 bond for my brother-in-law in 2019, but I moved since then. Where can I update my address, and how can I check the bond status? Okay, cool. So Santiago, thank you for asking that question. Immigration bond is a tricky thing. You want to update your address. Typically the way to do it is with Form AR11, all right? And you could send that request to ICE. ICE might have its own form also for updating your address. When you posted the bond, they should have given you a bunch of paperwork. And so you look through that carefully to make sure, you know, if there was a specific form that they had for you to update your address. But typically it's on Form AR11, and you can send it in to the office of, we call it the ERO, Enforcement and Removal Operations within ICE. And the way bond works, Santiago, is so if your brother-in-law is complying with his process, if he still has hearings, if he's still going through his process, then that bond is still held there, all right? And if your brother-in-law finishes his process and say he wins his process, then you can get the bond money back. And if he finishes the process and loses, and then ends up with a deportation order, and then is actually removed or actually leaves, or it's all over and done with, right? Then you will also get your bond money back. The time where you do not get your bond money back is if your brother-in-law runs away and doesn't complete the process. That's where you lose the money. And so, Santiago, the way to know whether or not you're going to get your bond money back is by staying in touch with your brother-in-law. All right? That's the way to know. And so, as long as you're in touch with him, know where his case is at, and know if he's won his case, or if he's lost his case, or if he's appealing his case, or if he's got hearings in the future, or whatever. Like, you want to ask him. You want to know. You want to understand. Right? Because you have skin in the game, Santiago. You have skin in the game, which means you want to be aware of what's going on his case. All right? To the tune of $10,000, you want to be aware of what's going on his case. All right? And you want to help him. Hopefully, he's your brother-in-law. You want to help him out. So, and you have helped him out already, but hey, you want to, the best way to do it is to win that case. All right, so let's see. I've got another question here from Juan. Juan, you ask, can a person who is a U.S. national file a petition for me? She's my mom, and she wants to help me. She's been here for 25 years, and I want to come to the United States with a visa petition from her. So, Juan, thank you for asking that question. You say that your mother is a U.S. national. So there's a difference between a U.S. national and a U.S. citizen. I'm not sure. You probably mean she's a citizen. All right? I'm just going to say you probably mean that she's a citizen. There's a slight, actually the term national, anyway, I'll assume that you're saying a citizen. And the question really, Juan, is how old are you? Because if you're a minor, all right, then a U.S. citizen can petition for you, and you can use that petition. It's a relatively quick process. But if you're already over 21, then you're in category F1. It's a visa bulletin case. It's a long, slow process. Yes, your mom can petition for you, but it is a long, slow process with a long wait list. And the other thing to ask is, are you married? Because for married sons and daughters over 21 of U.S. citizens, you're in category F3. And it is a long, slow process. All right, there is a long wait list. So Juan, check out the Visa Bulletin. It's published every month. All right, so do a Google search. Visa Bulletin, the current one out, it's September 20th today, but the current one out is already for October of 2022. So do a Google search. Visa Bulletin, October 2022. Figure out which family category you're in. All right, if you're over 21, you're in category F1 if you're single, or you're in category F3 if you're married. All right, those are single sons and daughters of U.S. citizens or married sons and daughters of U.S. citizens, respectively. Okay, and then see what date your mom would have had to file that petition in order to immigrate right now in October of 2022. And so check it out. Check it out. See for yourself. All right, you guys, those are the questions that I've received. I want to tell you a quick story before I wrap up today. Is that cool? Is that cool with everyone? All right. On Friday of last week, we won a case. And I want to tell you about this case, all right? On Friday of last week, my office won a case. And it had been denied under the Trump administration, but it got approved under the Biden administration. Same case, okay? And the specific case, if you want to know, is this was for a spouse of a member of the United States military. Okay? Military people, members of the United States military, have the right to file for certain benefits. We call it parole in place or military deferred action for spouses and parents. I don't know if you knew that. Well, these applications often are discretionary. And discretionary requests, sometimes they can be, the analysis behind them can change, and how the government reviews these types of requests can change depending on the administration. And so here's a request, here's a family, here's a spouse of somebody who was working in the United States military, got his application denied under President Trump, and we're like, gosh, that was so frustrating when that happened. And when there was a change in political power, I was like, hey, let's just try it again, right? Let's just try it again, everybody. Because just because one officer, under marching orders from one government administration, says no, doesn't mean another officer under a different administration at a different time, doesn't mean they agree. All right? Here's my point. If you know somebody that applied for a benefit and got it denied, rejected, like for whatever reason not finalized to your liking under the previous administration, let's look at it again, people. Let's look at it again. Maybe there's an opportunity. All right? And I would assert that, if you're going to try something like that, try it now. Try it under the current administration. It could change the game. All right? It could change your future. It could change your life. Got it? All right, that's all I'm going to say for today. Huge congratulations to the two of you, if you're watching this. Huge congratulations to the two of you. And if anybody's out there that's like, oh man, I know somebody that tried to apply for something and it did get denied under the Trump administration, hey, let's freaking look at it. Let's look at it again. And maybe you could try again. And maybe we could change the outcome. Okay? All right. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. All right. If this was useful, please give us a thumbs up on our YouTube channel, or a heart if you're watching us on Facebook. All right. If you want to see more videos in the future, please subscribe to our channel. Please hit the notifications bell so that you're updated when we update additional videos to our channel, updates, news, things like that. If you have questions, please send them in. And if you have a case, all right, hey, please give us a call. We are here to help. We would love to help you, all right? So that's it, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. My name's Otis Landerholm, Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. And we'll see you next time on our next episode of Deportation Defense Live. Thanks a lot. Adios. See you in Spanish if you want to join us in Spanish in a few minutes. All right, thank you.